Hello, and welcome to Replay Value. The second episode of Carole and Tuesday exists as a payoff to the jam session in episode 1 and to continue to introduce us to the main cast. Structurally, it achieves these things no problem. We'll be taking a look at how the scenes are strung to create two narrative threads in a moment. But the really impressive thing is how the content of the episode, in continuing to introduce us to these characters, seems to be focused on the old adage, no one is perfect. Born to Run is in part an attempt to dissuade the audience from the idea that any character is perfect, including ones that we may be conditioned to think should be. So as we return to Alba City for the second time to figure out the specifics of the episode, we'll be taking a look at how the structure and content of the follow-up work together to reinforce meaning. Born to Run effectively breaks the episode into two halves through the use of its commercial break. And we can break each of these further into 7 and 6 scenes, respectively. The first half is the normal day section for the three primary characters, as it shows what their current lives are like and fundamentally what they're trying to leave behind. This part has a book-ended structure. The wake-up scene begins with Carole and Tuesday in the loft, and the second to last section, Aftermath, also takes place with them there, as does Bonding. The in-between moments don't feature Carole and Tuesday together as we jump from Angela to Tuesday to Angela to Carole. It sets up Angela as ahead of Carole and Tuesday, further along the path to becoming a singer, as we watch her model for a short period of time before going to meet with Tao, Artenant's lab being a portmanteau of art and science, which is going to give her a song, compared to our duo who are trying to get their affairs in order. It further characterizes Carole and Tuesday in their sections in terms of content, but we'll get to that after we finish chatting about the structure. The second half is the achievement section and how it presents the end goal, and how they're trying to get there. We have a bridging scene to show Carole and Tuesday executing on their plan to play a grand piano from before the break, also bringing back in Tuesday's mother, before we establish Ertegun, who is a pro musician and purely in terms of career what the three mains wish to achieve. After we see how they're going to achieve that, Angela going through some practice with Tao, a mechanical experience that feels like torture for both Angela and for the audience who has to watch and listen to it, which is contrasted with Carole and Tuesday's performance, a total 180 to complete pleasure. Carole and Tuesday's talent is immediately apparent, and that leads to an opportunity in the form of Gus and Roddy showing up on their doorstep to end the episode. It's not that they've surpassed Angela, but their natural ability equalizes the playing field that was shown to be completely uneven in the first half. This structural split builds the narrative thread in the first half and executes on it in the second. With that covered, let's take a look at the content to further that key element in how the show denies perfection throughout its entire cast. The second episode really gets into reestablishing how Carole and Tuesday fall into tropes and then goes about subverting them in interesting ways. We'll start with Tuesday's since she's the most straightforward. It's the stereotypical rich girl with no practical skills trope, who not only fails at cleaning but leaves a bigger mess than when she started. She's also unable to contribute anything to their living situation out of fear of using her card and being located. Tuesday's tendency to stick to story cliches, from both her escape and now with her putting on a traditional cleaning outfit, suggests that she looked this up too, and just couldn't figure it out, all adding to the sense that she's really a fish out of water here in Alba. But she's trying her best in spite of that, and most importantly not complaining about having to do it, showing a healthy amount of willing to try new things and tenacity that is a change for the archetype. Carole's is a bit more in the weeds. She's also rocking the traditional street-smart kid tropes that are normal, but in a twist, she doesn't have an emotional hang-up from the past. The funeral scene where she's unable to force herself to cry is the best example of this. Not only can she not conjure up any sad memories from her past despite being an orphan, or even a fake one, but rather bursts out laughing despite how completely inappropriate it is for the moment. That straightforward emotional state, seeing something funny and laughing at it, is a nice change, and as we're shown later, manifests in blowing by the security guard who won't let her and Tuesday perform. We can also consider this a flaw for Carole, not being understanding about the guard's situation with his job on the line, and I recognize that. But in this case, I think it specifically speaks to how Carole isn't going to just follow rules blindly and wait for her time and place when it's seemingly arbitrary. It's a desire to achieve her dream that no one can get in the way of. That's true for Tuesday as well. And for both, it's a character flaw and a strength, which is one of the absolute best types of characterization. But the biggest reason why I focused on this idea of denying perfection is because of how AI are treated in this episode. Generally, there's this idea that in the future, computers will be perfect and how systems run by AI won't be flawed. We hear this kind of stuff with self-driving cars all the time. But AI are not treated as perfect by the world of Carol and Tuesday. 99% of pop hits are created by AI, which means that there's that 1% of the market that isn't, which is light proof, but more clearly is the way that Tao is characterized in this episode. He seems machine-like, unflinching and uncaring even as Angela is squirming, more concerned with the treatment of the machine than if she's okay after being poked and prodded. It's almost the inverse of the common societal relation between man and machine. Angela is just a vehicle for the work of his computers and is therefore replaceable, going so far as to call her junk. Angela accuses him of not being human, and that should get you thinking about a world run entirely by logical processes with no accounting for emotion. On the flip side though, and the scene that precedes this one, there's Roddy who assigns emotion to his AI, saying that Jessica, who he's named, might have fallen in love with Ertegun. The AI that needs to be checked by Roddy isn't perfect either. The base is off inside the hull, and that human check is important. And maybe the same role that Tao is fulfilling over at Artient's lab. Despite the prevalence of AI in this realm, there still needs to be a human component, whether that's in the performance or in the consumption. No character in Carol and Tuesday is perfect, not even the machines that it would seem should be. Some stray thoughts. Kiss Me is an unbelievably strong OP, and Hold Me Now is an even better ED. The revelation of Tuesday's mom being a presidential candidate has great potential for drama later in the show, and I'm looking forward to how that develops. But what I really dug was how the show low-key hinted at the idea of privacy being important by showing how easy it was for Roddy to find Carol and Tuesday. Of course, this has the potential to work out very well for them, but even it being shown how simple it was is a good reminder to check what you're sharing. Now I'm just waiting for the Carol and Tuesday Psycho-Pass crossover event. Maybe in my dreams. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, Twitter, Discord, Patreon, yada yada, and until next time, thanks for watching.